Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with NSL talk. All right, let's do some guesses. Where are we? Well, let's see if the audience will find out before. But we are the secret chambers of Paraclete XP. And I was just allowed to sit in for a debriefing of another 8-way training session. Thanks for.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it is very interesting because it really 8-way has its own language, its own terminology. Mm-hmm. It seems to be really a different world compared to what's going on in 4-way and 8-way. Yeah. Can you explain the difference? Kurt Werner, BK Krause, sorry, I didn't even say that. So let me, one more word before I will listen carefully, because they are the guys who know 8-way better than anybody. You're the only ones in the 8-way team actually who is not doing 4-way. You know, all the other ones are actually doing all kind of things, and that's why I wanted to get you guys, because you're the only, you know.
Yeah. No 4-way this year.
I think I'm trying to save myself a little bit fatigue-wise in order to concentrate as much as I can on the 8-way.
Me too. Same thing. It just 4-way takes so much more energy and more jumps, all those things, and you know we're not two young men, so you know. So,
yeah, we talked about yesterday with what the average age is, and we're comparing with the French team, I believe, because we get to that in a moment.
Right.
And so yeah, the average is going a little bit up here now.
Yeah. Same as the Russian team.
You know, they are the winners as of average.
Yeah, sure.
So okay, so you're saving your energy a little bit.
Yeah. And
you're also by far the 8-way experts in the team. So I mean, both of you are familiar with 4-way, but bring a little bit of this 8-way world to us, the terminology, the dynamics, and all that kind of stuff. Because the closer you are listening in, the more. I mean, I'm sitting there. 4-way is, you know, the more popular event, if you can say so. And I understand the 4-way language. In 8-way, I'm sitting here and I go, what are they actually talking about?
Yeah.
I think, well, you know, in 4-way, there's a lot more flow in 4-way in general. You can just make it happen. With, you know, you and 3 other people, you can make it happen a whole lot easier than 8-way. If one person gets out of position, then we have the loss of the point. So I think it's about brief moments the whole way through every block. So every block we turn, there's a brief picture of the inter, if you will. So you have a quarter picture, a halfway picture, a 3/4 picture, and the finish. Whereas 4-way, you still have those pictures, but they're not quite as important. In my personal feeling, with 8-way, we have to have them. You and I talked a little bit about some aggression, you know, when we first got out the tunnel.
Which is, I want to say that quickly. I didn't even see that. And I mean, I was watching it, you know, from the camera and there, and he talks about, you know, there was more aggression than last time. I didn't see any of it, so please, explain.
Well, I think, kind of with that, you know, you can never be in neutral, right? You always need to be moving forward. Still, right? You might be still, but you're always thinking about your posture, right? Do I want to be in an offensive posture? I'm pushing in, you know, to the center, and I'm being strong. Whereas sometimes if you get loose, your body loosens up, then you could take, for instance, a star, right? And you could turn it into an oval, right? So I think right now we're pushing just a little more aggression, and it's not crazy, right? Crazy aggression, but it's just like seeing, just being ready to move. That's my thought, you know.
I absolutely agree. You know, and with 8-way, it's such a process monster, right? There's so much more. Like I can look here and see 3 other people in a star very easily, but with 8-way, I'd have to turn my head more, and that, you know, of course, takes time. And there's so many, you know, obviously just the logistics of it. The more people, the more problems, you know, not problems, but the more possibilities of mistakes. And it's just like a synchronized dance in a way, in there, with a lot of, we're kind of in between that. Like sometimes there's a lot of tension on something because we feel it necessary, and then other times there's no tension on it, but yeah, that whole thing of like the process. He and I, we stare at each other, set up, we look to our rights, and then we look back, and we're communicating. And then that process, if you're on the outside, allows you to anticipate. When they see you getting checked off and you're about to go back, they know this is about to go, So, it's like the feeling that we have in this team right now, with the delay from the COVID-19 stuff and all the hysteria in the world. The combination of taking four-way expertise from Airspeed, the youth of Gina and Michelle and their what am I trying to say? Just their want and need to train, and kind of the pushing of like, we need to train. It's a really unique combination. Super fun, I literally look really forward to this. I look forward to the meet in Russia. I think it's going to be an incredible meet. There's a big story here, especially with now Matu getting into the 8-way group, which is going to make them better, 100%. And all of it's a very, very cool story, And I think every team, I think the 8-way event is going to be the premier event to watch there. I do. I think it's going to be very close, and it's anybody's match. It's anybody's game. So yeah.
Yeah. I think to go along with what you said of having younger people in the sport, and not necessarily just age, right? But they're also their time in the sport. For somebody like Kirk and I, and to include Nicholas, we've been doing this for quite some time. So when you add people that almost want to push you to train more, sometimes it's what you need.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's what you need, because we're like, oh man, another 15 jump day. But
It's true, man.
Yeah, but you can live off other people's excitement.
Yeah.
It helps motivate me, to be honest with you.
And it requires, obviously the planning of it, the structuring, it requires, it's like a little science by itself. So you probably need some people. I guess you are doing the engineering, the planning, the structuring, because the debriefing, most of it, the input and all that kind of stuff, it is such a little science. You need extra time to be ready for that, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. 100%, and we have both Gina and Michelle are very, very organized people, just generally, and they help with a lot of the organization of how we're training and stuff like that, and the days, and going through the schedule. They're very good at that, and just like you say, but with engineering, I will say all of them. John's he's very good at engineering as well. But even the guys, Nicholas and Mikhail, that haven't done this a lot, they're picking up stuff. And we tried something, we didn't try it. We talked about another 16 build today, and so having that input, because it's very easy. And we had that together. We first started flying at the Golden Knights Way and then the Airspeed Way, and it took time for us to mesh.
Yeah, we fist fought a little bit on
we hit on something, and but so. Out of that becomes, that's just a natural, organic way of things getting better. It's completely a different animal, man. And the wind tunnel, of course, helps, but just the headspace.
And the more different it becomes, the more each of it becomes more a science kind of. The more difficult it must be to switch back and forth between the two events. So for all the 4-way guys in the 8-way team, do you talk about this within the team? Hey, come on, it's 8-way time again, so forget about your...
Well, that's something like on the Golden Knights when we would do 4-way at Nationals, and that's really for the last couple years that I was on the team. We were still doing pretty decent at 4-way. And, we were just going, it was us and Rhythm, Fury at that time. And then, but when 4-way was over, and especially like the Nationals events where there was no time for a practice jump after a 4-way, like you finished round 10 of 4-way and you go right into 8-way, we would be like, hey guys, we're doing 8-way now. Everybody just ease the power back and open your eyes a little bit more. And I think I think it happens here automatically. You know, we really don't talk about it. You know, as a group.
No, not too much.
But I think everybody thinks about it.
Yeah.
You know?
And I've been watching both XP8 and Airspeed training here, and Airspeed had a huge week here this week. I don't know how many jumps they made, but it was a lot. And watching them, you know, watching the videos and watching them from inside the airplane, exiting Airspeed, and you know, they're doing something really good, because when I'm watching their jumps, they look incredible to me, you know, both those teams. So I'm sure they must be talking about it. And I remember in '99 when we had both events, we had long talks in between switching events, you know. The same thing, like we got to stay on process and 8-way and 4-way. We can kind of see everything right here, you know. So.
Interesting that, you know, Airspeed itself has a similar situation between two guys who can't wait for the next 4-way training camp because now they're on a break, and then between the other two guys who say, oh shit, now we have to go to an 8-way.
Yeah.
For it just that was so interesting. Now that's Gina and Michelle coming into the 8-way team, pushing it forward.
Then you mix coaching in there and work.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
right.
like we have a full plate. You know, everybody has a full plate
Yeah.
right now. You know, if you think about John, you know, trying to manage everything that he
The
manages
empire.
within the XP empire.
Oh, I
you
forgot
know.
about him. He's not doing 4-way. I forgot him.
Yeah,
he's not old enough.
Yeah, no, he's not.
No, he wasn't old enough for this group yet.
Yeah.
So we had to.
But our plates are busy, especially the Airspeed
Yeah.
guys, and that's something that, you know, we really had to sit down with calendars. You know, Kirk kind of wrangled all this, him and Nicholas and Mikhail, and said, okay, we have this day, and this day. We have to have some time off,
Yeah.
you know, and then we can do this day. And it took us, and it's constantly changing too.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes things just change, and the team is pliable enough that we can say, okay, we're going to push this week to this week and bring this week forward.
Yeah.
So sometimes we're playing chess with
Yeah.
finding time.
I was here in May last time, similar purpose, you know, all the teams were here and it was nice to get a little update, and the videos look different now compared to May.
Yeah.
So it looks like the team is, it looks like almost like you're ready for the world meet. So what are you going to work on now?
Well, you know, the tunnel is obviously, you know, it's a home for us, you know. Our jumping is also going really good. It's tight. The problem is we just haven't had many jumps in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Maybe not that long, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We made 100 jumps.
Maybe a little bit longer than that,
Yeah,
actually.
I can't remember. I get lost in it. But we had a 100 jump camp. Well, maybe not quite a 100 jumps. Like 78 jumps camp, and it went really good. And that was, and what I know what it was. Matt's getting his surgery, and so we had some people, Andrea and Matt, coming in and out. And to be honest with you, you know, it was just a lot to ask of Matt. I mean, his hips. He's getting surgery in a couple days. Yeah, you know. So, and we were just like, you know what, this is not a good idea. And then with COVID-19 and, you know, the protocols from the state of North Carolina and, you know, keeping all that stuff, you know, in line, and, you know, we had people that were getting sick, not on the team, but outside of the team, and that we were jumping with. So, you know, we had some quarantine days in there, you know, where we quarantined and it's
Yeah, we
hard.
canceled our last training
Yeah.
camp, which
Yeah.
was the week prior to July 4th.
And you still have, I mean, it looks, I mean, to my eyes, it looks different and better now than in May.
It is.
Which it should.
Yeah.
And you still have another year
Yeah.
before it becomes here. I mean, we have meets before. Hopefully, we have nationals. Hopefully, we have Shamrock.
Shamrock, yeah.
Hopefully,
Yeah.
we have all that. We don't know
Well,
yet.
it's in Z Hills, yeah. So they'll have it. You know, they're gonna have the nationals, and they'll have Shamrock, and hopefully we can get everybody here. I think another thing that I think you and I had talked about would be nice if we did get the powerhouse teams to come to Shamrock, we could maybe do a quick indoor meet here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that would be a nice thing because the 8-way indoor doesn't have a world meet, you know. So I'm trying to push for that. Like even if it's just all of us together.
We did this once to push both events close together, so we could have that
Yeah.
indoor and outdoor championship.
And we can do that way any weekend. It would
Yeah.
be easy to do, you know.
Mhm.
So maybe we'll get that done, you know. And hopefully everybody won't have travel restrictions, we'll see.
Yeah, that's
a long way away.
I remember you being here, in May. And I can't remember if it was the start of the camp or towards the end of the camp. And any team has peaks and valleys. And I remember specifically, like we were in a valley. Like when you were here, and of course you always want to have your best stuff. But I remember like a couple, like we just it wouldn't light up one day. The one day you were here, I think we tried jumping, we got weathered out. Maybe we might have made a few jumps.
We did out, right?
Yeah, we made a couple of jumps maybe, and then we came here. And sometimes when you show up to work and you're prepared to jump, and then you go to the tunnel, sometimes you don't get the same performance. Well, at the end it's still quality, good training, but sometimes it goes down because you have yourself geared to jump, and sometimes it feels like, well, we're doing this secondary, so maybe you don't get the same.
Sure.
Well, it always goes like this,
right?
Anyway.
Well, that's always like at World Meets, right? Normally teams start very early, they jump as quickly as they can, and then they leave. And at World Meets, you might be starting at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. You got to be out there, and you might get 1 jump, 2 jumps, and you got to be ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that once we get like into April, May of next year, we're going to train for that. We're going to stay on the drop zone and on a weather hold, and then we're going to train late in the day so that we make sure that we monitor our arousal level and things like that, and so we want to be prepared for all that. We might have some long days in Russia.
That's where experience comes in, because many teams and people these days are not really aware of that. The USB Nationals, the format of the USB Nationals gives you the wrong impression, that's the way the world is, and it's so far from,
I remember the Dubai meets, they were like trying to do like 1 or 2 jumps a day, and that's not that uncommon. They want you there.
Yeah.
The weather looks good.
Exactly. Promotional efforts, media, all kind of things. So you will be there. That. So, okay, so let's look quickly at the international situation, because we have some changes. We have even I was comparing France and XP8 actually recently, because you're somewhat in a similar situation, because Drew is in now, but then he will leave and Matt will come back.
Yeah.
So both teams actually new with one person who is in and out and so forth. And we're looking at France now. BK, you were in 2010 in Menzelins, which was Mathieu's day.
Yeah, it was a huge meet. It was GK8, the newer GK8 team started in 2009, end of 2008. That was like our first world meet together, and I also competed against Martial there. That was his last world meet with the French A-League team.
Right.
Yeah. So. It's big news.
Kirk said earlier already. You said earlier that you expect the A team to be stronger with Mathieu.
I do. Yeah. I mean, look, he's got so much experience. He's the only guy that's won both swords at a meet. And he's a brilliant guy, incredible staffer, obviously. So his experience is going to give all the other 7 confidence. That's a given now. That person is always going to be there, always going to do this. He's going to drive it no matter where he's at, for a little while anyway. And having him in there, I think, is great for them. Not great for us, of course. I mean, we're competitive always.
Are you getting Matt?
Yeah.
Who is I think Matt is the most successful equal competitor in history.
I think Scott Rhodes probably.
He will try to get his 7th.
Oh, maybe he's
gold
going.
medal.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. That's a good question.
If you look at like the French team though too, like what Martial, right? Take Mathieu and Martial. Martial was with that young team last year at the World Cup,
right?
Yeah.
And those dudes were fast.
Yeah.
Like incredibly fast.
Yeah.
And so I think, I think he was part of that process, like Kirk said, of having the experienced guy that you can count on, right? Lifting people up. And I think Mathieu will do the same thing to those guys,
Yeah, I was wondering when I heard that Clementine is not continuing. I thought, is it going to be Martial or is it going to be Mathieu?
Yeah.
Mathieu was not his coach, so he was not
didn't
even think about this.
Sure.
Then he said no, he's considering taking the slot.
Yeah, yeah.
And who would you take if you had the choice between Martial and?
Well, I mean, I would right now. I would hope that Martial would do it, just because I would love to compete with Martial again.
Yeah.
You know, because we do a lot of stuff together now.
Right.
You know, with me doing the Hell Weeks in Europe, him coming here. So it would be fun because we've had some drinks and dinners, talk about competing. It would be fun to compete against him one more time.
You competed with Mathieu on the other hand in 2008.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He was in the
I was in 2008. I was on the alternate there. 2006. I don't know if he was in that 8-way lineup or not.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's where. Yeah. They blew us up.
Oh, 6, right? Airspeed
Yeah,
was
in-
in 2006 too. Right?
2008 was.
I was the alternate for
The Golden
Golden
Knight
Knight.
Fast
Was it
Track.
mixed? Mixed, yeah.
Fast
2006 was a
Thomas,
bigger one. Yeah.
Thomas
Yeah.
Hughes and Doug.
I mean, Matu is a guy that I look up to him because of what he did. I realized how hard that was for him to do that, win both events. I mean, it's why one guy's done it. It's hard. He did it great,
Right.
amazing.
And now he's coaching. He wants to do double again. Now there are only 3 girls left in 4-way, right? Who will try to do double, 8-way and 4-way. And Mathieu coaching him is the only one who has ever done it.
Yeah,
Go
I
to,
don't know how just how.
So maybe he has some secret advice there.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll find out.
And I think that switching between the events, he's got to know everything.
Talked about that.
He's got to know everything.
It's not easy, especially not at a world meet, where you're hanging out there the whole day.
They're the biggest jumps of your life, 100%.
All right, well, that's a lot of information to digest, to listen to. So I hope somebody will appreciate it. I do. Thank you very much,
You bet.
Kurt, BK, and
Thanks,
have a good rest of the day. Get some neck massages.
Very good.
and
There you go.
Right.
Thanks.
Yeah, all right, thank you.
Be
Thanks.
safe, everyone.
Bye.